How you doing? My name is Dancho Mayweather. I'm a graduate student at Georgia Southern University. This is my presentation of an interview I conducted with Dr. George Frederick. Dr. Frederick is the current Director of Military and Veteran Services. So he has an extensive amount of education. He started his educational career in 1987 with a bachelor's in political science from Texas State University. That's where he commissioned as an officer in the infantry branch, and went on to start his illustrious career as an Army officer. He was very well known nationally for great things. He has a master's in military art science from Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. He got a master's in personal administration from Central Michigan University, a specialist in education administration from Columbus State University, and finally a doctorate in educational leadership from Georgia Southern University. On the military side, his work experience outside of higher ed, which we'll get to next, fall from platoon leader all the way up to brigade commander in the echelon of leadership in the military. Now, this is a very good feat because many times, many occasions, a good career, you could make it to battalion commander, really company commander. A good career, you do pretty well as a company commander. A really good career, you make it to battalion commander, but a great career where you stand out amongst your peers and you are very influential and monumental in what you do, you make it up to brigade command and higher. As a matter of fact, he actually had the opportunity to make it up to the next rank as a general, but decided that his time in the active duty world, the military, was over and that he could go and serve people in another capacity. And that's exactly what he did. So during his active duty career, he actually was the professor of military science here at Georgia Southern. Now that falls in higher ed and it falls in active duty because though he was on active duty order, so that was his military job, that's when he got well versed in the higher education arena. So once upon his retirement from active duty, he came back to Georgia Southern, was the director of military affairs for a while. He left that position, and to his credit, to his credit, quote him, he had this position when he first retired, but the school where it was then was not ready for the direction or the push, the pressure he would put on the institution to move veteran services to the levels in which we want to move to. So he was Director of Military Affairs. He left there, went to the Georgia Southern Eagle Battalion RTC program as the Scholarship and Enrollment Officer, also known as the RUE over there. And then left there about a year ago and became the Director of Military Affairs again here in Georgia Southern. So as the current Director of Veteran Services here, he oversees both the Military Resource Center, as well as our U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs school certifying officials. Now, it's important to note that Georgia Southern recently consolidated in 2018 with Armstrong and Liberty. Armstrong, prior to merging with Georgia Southern, had their own Military Resource Center, their own U.S. certifying officials. And so upon the merger, the office became bigger. So to answer one of the questions, one of the bigger things that happened in the last 5 years is the merger here, which brought in more staff. Armstrong, actually, historically speaking, were nationally rated higher than us in terms of their veteran, how they interact with their veteran community and veteran services at school. Rated very well, actually, nationally noted. And so as a director, he's over both the Statesboro Military Resource Center and our certified officials up here, as well as Armstrong and down in Liberty. So the biggest thing when talking to Dr. Fred about initiatives, he continued to keep it student-centered as well as service. That was the main call. So that's his calling. And so like right now in the very gist on the plate, getting the Student Veterans Associations back up and running is key. Due to COVID-19 last year, the chapter basically went dormant in a way. So his goal right now is to get that up and running before fall 2021. He has a student committee, Veteran Affairs. This committee is used for recommendations to bounce ideas off of, basically bringing the community. He explained that many times when leading in higher ed, because we're attending to a community, we should involve the community that we're attending to so that we can see how to most effectively serve them. And so he's following that by his committee on veteran affairs. He also works closely with SGA's Vice President of Military Affairs at Georgia Southern. Okay. So to go kind of give you just this department structure, all right. Georgia Southern's Military Resource Center and School Certifying officials' main mission is to assist military affiliated students through the application process and military benefits. It's really honestly cut and dry. And prior to Dr. Fred really coming in, that was really just the main focus, as long as we hit our bare minimum. And so with him coming in, the goal is the bare minimum is not even an option. That's going to happen regardless. He came in with the changing the culture by explaining that going above and beyond was actually part of the job, and doing the bare minimum is just a requirement to actually have, just to work here, basically. So it basically makes sense there. So down at Armstrong, he has Amanda Thomason and Bill Gammon as his military and veteran and military educational outreach coordinators. At Armstrong, Patrick Adcock and Maria Barker are the certifying officials, while in Statesboro, Abby McKinsky and Cameron Jones are their counterparts. All right, so some of the biggest key initiatives now that's going on. Well, his biggest concerns when in his position, right, as the director is military students adapting to the current climate right now, and how can Georgia Southern better serve and support veteran students? That's the biggest concern. The projects that he has going on right now, he is in the midst of trying to get a contract with the Navy that would guarantee funds for active duty naval shipmen to partake in an asynchronous, fully online course in the degree field. IT is the goal. So that's a big one in the workings. He just received a federal grant for more resources so that he can hire more staff in the office. Because of the merger, even though we merged and brought the three campuses together, there was never an increase in staff. And with his now wide range and plethora of reaching out to the community and doing different initiatives and different things, other than just making sure military affiliated students get their certified money that they're supposed to get, now he needs more staff. A big goal is to become a platinum status university in veteran affairs. Right now we are gold, and the way to do this is if we were able to secure the contract from the Navy with the asynchronous course. That would definitely work. And also another big thing he's doing, which is actually the next one, to establish a physical schooling option for active duty servicemen on Fort Stewart. That would also put us in platinum status. Getting on platinum status ranks us on a national level. It gives us more attention on a national level. We're open to more opportunities and funds from the Department of Defense. So just moving up the national line just opens up more resources for the Georgia Southern military affiliated community. So specifically in his office, when speaking about logistics, he really worked hard for this grant for about 3 to 4 months. I actually went out and hired a grant writer to kind of help go about it, because he needed to increase his budget if he wants to go out and reach the ventures that he attests to reaching. Financially, needing staffing is the biggest things. Biggest plans are getting in-person classes on Fort Stewart and the asynchronous degree offer. And the biggest recent accomplishment number-wise is obviously incorporating Armstrong's Military Resource Center, because it just added to the girth of Georgia Southern's veteran population now and put us in a better position to successfully become a platinum institution. Okay, and so my initial reactions to our interview, well, one, this brother has an extensive amount of educational experience. I am actually a member of the military, and so I know how challenging it must have been to get all of those degrees while being active duty. Secondly, the fact that he had a very lengthy military career really stands out to me because he had a lengthy military career, retired, and came to in higher ed, and is on course to retire very soon. So that's a good one. And the biggest, also the aiming for the stars is the one for me, because when you look at the past of what Georgia Southern were doing in the military services department, he's really trying to take it up as far as he can. Getting the grant, it's the first time that was done at Georgia Southern, trying to get the contract with the Department of Defense with the Navy, right, asynchronous program, trying to get in-person classes down on Fort Stewart. Before he got into the office, those were not initiatives that were just pinpoint on the front of what they wanted to get done. So that's very important. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to click out of that. This is another one. Gosh, go. So to answer a few questions, I would personally be honored to work with Dr. Frederick because he's truly a believer in being a servant leader, and I admire his work experience. He also told me some personal things about him, because we kind of talked about our family makeup. We're a little bit similar. I have a daughter now, and he told me about the time when he had a daughter, very similar age, fresh out of school. I would also love to work in this department because of my military background and my love for helping my fellow servicemen and students. Overall, I'd rate this interview as a great interview due to the information and initiatives, and mostly Dr. Frederick's emphasis on serving students and helping Georgia Southern to get to the next step in this ladder of success. Usually when somebody gets a job, they say, I want to be here this long, or I'm just trying to get this and I'm on to the next step. His sole purpose is trying to help Georgia Southern get to the next step in military services, basically help it get it started, solidified, standardized, a nice basis, and then he will have to fill his duty. He believes he's here for a season to help move Georgia Southern to the next step. And some other key notes about our meeting that didn't make it on the actual presentation is his emphasis on working with student affairs, academic affairs, right across the key. He actually formed a working partnership with the Provost's office and the Dean of Student office in terms of many of his initiatives, and he's also brought to the table when determining many key policies for students. For example, in terms of military and veteran affairs, even though this is an academic issue, they brought him in. So a military affiliated student are usually giving counselors, academic advisement counselors, outside from the normal ones that are specialized to tender to them, and kind of take them on the grades, maybe do a little bit more than the regular students because of the difference in the makeup of the student, right? Have to tend to different things because they're in the military. And now he's in the midst of working with Dr. Little Eyes here in our Provost's office and getting him to being the overall overseer of that, so that every time a student gets an academic alert or they get a response from the counselor about grades or performance at all, he is notified. That way he can always have an approach to the student, because obviously he can relate to them, being his extensive amount of experience. This is my presentation. I appreciate you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoy it.